Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap Reviews. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through movie, book and other entertainment reviews from the perspective of a middle-aged British man. Bear that in mind, not the same as most other YouTubers, you're going to get a totally different viewpoint. And today I went to see Superman by James Gunn, a movie which actually came out, 3 weeks or so ago, but it wasn't one which I ever intended to go and see. But actually, it was raining this morning, I was at a loose end, and I thought I'd go and see what it was all about. And I'm kind of glad I did, because it was okay, it was entertaining, it was not the best movie I've seen in the last week, but it was worth checking out, because I've got a fair bit of baggage when it comes to Superman, because I was around in the 70s and 80s when Christopher Reeve brought him to the modern world, and I was also a cinema goer when Henry Cavill reintroduced Superman as a sort of more stoic, tough, muscular character in the more recent DC movies. But James Gunn's visioning of Superman is very different. For a start, he gives us a different actor. David Corenswet, an actor I'd never heard of before, a big 6'4" towering muscular man, although not sort of bodybuilder style, but more of an ordinary, everyday, but big, well-stacked fella, plays the role rather well. He looks like a Superman, that's fair to say. And he gives us a Superman who is a bit different from what we've seen before, even in the classic costume, with the pants over the, the tights, going back to a more comic book-like version of our favourite unstoppable Superman. They also save us going through the origin story all over again, because we're not subjected to Krypton blowing up. Superman's beginning is preceded down to a few lines of text on the screen, which tells us that Superman, came to Earth, was adopted by a family, and revealed himself to the world as Superman 3 years ago. So we don't have to go through all of that stuff. We just get the Superman as he is in the middle of his superheroing existence. And when we first meet him, he's actually been thoroughly thrashed in a battle. His face is all messed up, there's blood everywhere, he's got broken bones. And this tells us a lot about this new Superman. He is not indestructible. It is possible to hurt the guy. And he gets hurt, he gets damaged, he's weakened, he gets imprisoned, he gets locked up. In this movie, he spends half his time not actually in 100% condition. He's pretty banged up most of the time, which is a kind of unusual tack to take, because we think of Superman as faster than a speeding bullet, unstoppable. This is not what we see here. We see a Superman with flaws, and this is important because his arch villain Lex Luthor is a cunning, devious, modern day version of a supervillain. He is a tech trillionaire who has aspirations of becoming a dictator of a country. He's been supplying arms to a rogue dictator with the proviso that he's going to get half a country at the end of it as his fiefdom. And he is embattled with Superman, sowing disinformation, turning the public against everybody's favourite hero. And we see a very different Superman here than what we've ever seen before. Somebody who is uncertain about his place in the world. As I say, not indestructible. He's got a burgeoning relationship going with Lois Lane. His Lois Lane is an actress I'd never heard of, Rachel Brosnahan, who is a very attractive, very savvy and smart Lois Lane, but she's not just, the assistant. She is very much a foil to his character. She takes him along on his character arc for sure. And she plays an important role in this. She actually saves him at one point when he's imprisoned in an alternative pocket universe. She goes along with some of the other good guys, the metahumans, the Justice Gang, the Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, and she rescues Superman. So, very different portrayal of Superman in this movie. More of a human version rather than this stoic superhuman version. Lex Luthor, actually played by British actor Nicholas Hoult, for me steals the show a bit as a great arch villain. He is, a very young tech trillionaire type character who most of his machinations are about securing a legacy and a lot of ego-driven decisions in taking over parts of the world. You know, the usual, you know what the story is. Superman fights against an arch-villain, he goes on a character arc, he learns more about himself, he discovers an important part about his origin, in that when he arrived on Earth, his parents sent along a kind of video message for him, which was partially damaged. As the story unfolds, the second half of their message becomes revealed to him, and it totally changes his outlook. I won't tell you what it is, but it changes entirely Superman's view of what he's meant to do on Earth. And I think that might rub purists of the Superman story up the wrong way to a degree. But yeah, you know, it's your standard sort of plot. What is different in this movie is the portrayal of Superman. No longer the stoic, unstoppable hero, now very much more humanistic. What I would say about this movie is some of the annoying things, right? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of characters in this story. You've got this Justice Gang. Each one of those individuals would make a movie on their own with their stories. You've got Lois Lane. You've got Lex Luthor, Superman. You've even got this dog called Crypto, kind of super dog, which appears repeatedly throughout the story and actually saves Superman on more than one occasion. So, you know, he's an important part of the story, but he's springing up in it every so often. You know, so there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of characters to keep track of. And at points, the story becomes quite chaotic to keep a grip of. And I found that a little annoying. In a movie called Superman, we should have followed more of Superman's endeavours, I think, than all of these other characters. So, yeah, it's a different Superman. He's less stoic. He's a bit more funny. He's a bit more comic booky. He's a bit more weak, to be honest. He is not Superman anymore. He's something different. I guess when you look at it, though, they had to go somewhere with the story, because the classic Superman has been done by two very good actors in Henry Cavill and Christopher Reeve. This is a different James Gunn version. He's taken it in a comic book version. Now, for me, it didn't hit the mark, all right? I'll say that up front. For me, I'm going to give it my rating. I rate movies I review out of 5 bowler hats. And for me, this one, I'm going to be generous and give it 3. I was going to give it 2.5. I'm going to give it 3. It's been out a while now, and I know it's been well received. You know, it's a commercial success. It's made double its initial investment already. So it's gonna, you know, it's gonna have sequels. It's going to be the Superman for the next 5 or 10 years, probably. This character, David Cornsweet, who I think he portrays Superman rather well. All I will say is, I hope in the future versions of Superman that we see on the big screen, we will see a bit more of a tougher Superman, who is Superman, not a bit of a snivelling wimp who gets beaten up every 5 minutes and, you know, needs people to save him, including his dog and his girlfriend. I mean, he's Superman, for God's sake. You're the one who's meant to do the saving. Let's see more of that in the next movies. So, if you haven't seen it yet, maybe hang on until it hits the streaming channels rather than pay to go and see it in the movies. You might be a little disappointed if you like the classic Superman. But if you've got kids to entertain, they're going to enjoy this, right? It's more of a kids-oriented version rather than the classic stoic Superman. So, there we go. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to like it, subscribe for more. I've also got another YouTube channel called The Chap's Guide, in which I talk about men's style, self-development, personal grooming. All those links are in the show notes below. Until the next time we meet at one of these reviews, take care, and I'll see you soon.